So today's topic is about SOQL queries. So the full form of SOQL queries is, you can see, Salesforce Object Query Language. Exactly when we use this SOQL queries are, suppose if you are writing any Apex class. So in that scenario, if you want to retrieve any data from the database, so in that scenario, we need to write the query. So based upon our query, the data will be retrieved from the database. So for this, I'm using Salesforce Inspector to show you how to write this SOQL queries, because for the first time when you are learning, so it's better to use here. So we can write the queries in the Apex as well in the developer console, but for the starting for learning, it's better to use Salesforce Inspector. So why I'm telling to use the Salesforce Inspector is, suppose if you are selecting, if you are writing any query, so you can simply see I'm able to get all the object related data, and you can see I'm also getting the field names. So when you are learning first time, it's better to use this inspector. So you can use the workbench as well, but my suggestion is you can use inspector. If you click on the export, you can clearly see whatever the data based on the query, we will retrieve the data here itself. So how to install this inspector is, it's just an extension. You can go and type Salesforce Inspector extension, click on here, so you can simply see here. So you can click on here, so it will, the extension will be added to your browser. So how to use it? So it means, let me go back here. So once you are added the Salesforce Inspector, you will get a extension like here. So if you click on here, it will be not available in different browsers, sorry, different page. So you can see it's not available. It will be available only in the Salesforce. Once you are logging into the Salesforce org, you can see here, you can click on here. So click on data export, then you will be redirected to this page. So let me show you a few more things. So you can see here, whenever we are writing a query, we need to write select. Okay, you need to write select and one or more fields. So whatever the fields you want to retrieve from that particular object, you need to select. Suppose if you want to retrieve only ID, you can mention only ID. And if you want more than one field, you can mention the fields with comma separated. And you need to mention from which object you want to select. Okay, let me show you in the inspector. It's simple. So first, it's mandatory, we need to write select. Okay, and followed by whatever the fields you want to retrieve. So first, I don't want any fields, I just want ID. And next, I need to mention from which object. So I will mention from, and then object. Okay, select the account object, click on export. You can see, so if you write this query, it will retrieve the data of account records with IDs only. Okay, you will retrieve the IDs of the particular records. Okay, all the records. So I'm not giving any way condition. Suppose you want to get you want another fields. Okay, then what you need to do, just use a comma and type the name of the field. So remember, you should give always the API names. You should not give the label names. Label name and the API name is both are different. So try to give always the API name. So I will go with the name. Okay, I'm using the name and from account. Okay, click on here. You can see I'm retrieving the data. So previously we are getting only ID. Now I added the field name, so I'm getting the name data as well. So if I want to add one more, if I want to retrieve the phone data, so I need to mention the phone here. So phone is a field, so I'm selecting that particular field. So if I click on export, so you can see now I'm able to retrieve the phone data as well. So have another field called industry. So I'm selecting the industry. So you can see, let's click on export. So you can see whatever the fields I want to export from the database, I need to mention here. So first what we need to mention, so first we need to type select, then whatever the fields we want to retrieve from the database, then we can give that fields, then from which object you want to select. Okay, you need to select that particular object. Okay, this is also API name. The fields and objects you need to give the API names. So you can see, suppose I want to retrieve data from contact. Okay, then how I need to do same thing, you need to mention select and then ID, and so I'm giving the last name, so it's a field, and then account ID. These are all the fields. And next, what we need to do, you need to type from and the object name. I will select contact. Okay, click on export. Okay, you can see it retrieving the data, whatever the fields I mentioned, and from which object I want to retrieve the data, I clearly mentioned. So as per the query, it retrieving the data. Okay, so account and contact both are standard objects, right? So now how you will retrieve data from for custom objects? So it is also same thing, not need to worry about it. So same select and ID, and whatever the fields you want to retrieve, you can retrieve. So I'm mentioning, and now here I'm mentioning the custom object name, but I don't think I don't have any custom object. So let me log in into that another org. I will show you. Things I don't. You can see I logged into a different org. So here I already have some custom objects. You can see the student and courses. These are all the custom objects. So this student course is a custom object. Okay. If I click on export, you can see there is no difference between the custom object and standard object. You can see this is the API name. So you need to provide the API name of the particular object so you can retrieve the data. You can see what are all the fields are available. We can provide like course, and you can use created by and created date, and whatever the fields you want to show, you can select all the fields. Okay, so if I click on here, so you can see if it is a custom object or standard object, there is no difference. So you need to mention the select and followed by what are the fields you want to retrieve. You need to give the field API names, and that particular object you need to mention from which object you want to retrieve. You can mention like this. Okay, click on export. It will retrieve the data. Okay, and
This conference will now be recorded.
okay, so previously we learned how to write a query for any objects. We need to write select, and then whatever the fields you want to show, you will mention all the fields, and then you will mention from which object you want to retrieve. You will mention that particular object, right? So suppose you required all the fields, right? So you can't mention, or suppose in an object there are 500 fields. Okay, you cannot give all the 500 field names, right? So instead of that, what we can do, there is a function called field solve. Okay, if you type field solve, you can see field solve, fields custom and field standard. So it means, so field solve means, suppose if there is an object, there are 500 fields, so it will retrieve all the fields. Okay, so what about the fields custom and field standard means, suppose if you take an account object. Okay, uh, there will be a standard fields by defaultly Salesforce provided, and you are created few more fields like custom fields you created on a account object. Okay, in that scenario you can select the custom fields, you will retrieve all the fields. Okay, if I try to click on export, you can see it will throw an error, because whenever you're using field all, we need to give the limit. Okay, we need to give the limit. So why we use this limit means, so suppose if you are retrieving any data, so you can give a particular limit. So suppose if you give a limit of 100, so it will retrieve only 100 records. If you give a limit of 2000, then it will retrieve 2000 records. Okay, so as of now we can give a limit of 200. So click on export. So now you can see whatever the fields are available in the account object, you can see all the fields will be shown here. Okay, you can see all the fields data. Okay, and suppose you don't want all the fields, you want only standard fields, then you can select standard fields. Okay, just remove here, you can see fields standard. So when I click on here, so it will retrieve only the standard fields of the particular object. Okay, similar, so you can select custom. Fields custom. Okay, so it will retrieve only the custom fields. You can see these are all the custom fields of this particular object. Okay, so it's not like that. If you select the custom, if you want to retrieve standard fields as well, so you can get the standard fields as well. So you can see I'm given the standard field names. Click on export, it should not throw an error. You can see I'm getting the standard field details also. Is it clear? I hope it's clear for you. So how to use the standard fields all, fields custom and fields standard, and how to retrieve the data from a particular object. Clear? Right?
This conference will now be recorded.
So uh, here we have a different operators, conditions, orders, all those things will be there. Let me show that. Let me show you the document. So you can see this is a link. Uh, I will share in the description. Please go to this link. So you will get all the documentation of the SOQL query. So you can see these are all the examples. Okay, this is a simple example. So you can see select ID, name, billing, city from account object, and there is a where clause. So you can see, so it will retrieve the data, and it will check the condition. If the condition is satisfied, then only it will retrieve the data. I will show you how to use the where condition and ordered by. So if you got a 10 records, okay, and uh, there will be a no order. Okay, so if you want to order that particular list of data into ascending or descending by name, by created date, or if you want to order by amount. Okay, in that scenario we can use this order by, then limit. As I told you previously, that how much records you want to retrieve from the database, that limit you need to provide. You can see simply he's selecting a name from account where industry equal to media and limit is 125. If suppose if someone select if there are uh, account records where industry equal to media, suppose we have 300 records, still we will get only 125 records. Okay, you can see this is order by with limit, so he is ordering by the billing postal code, and I will explain what is ascending. This is ascending order. ASC means ascending, DESC means descending, and nulls last, nulls first I will explain. So group by, and having offset order. These are all the types of searches. Okay, so we will learn one by one. This is parent to child relationship queries and child to parent relationship queries, and these are all the operators how to use. So suppose if you are comparing the values, then we will use these operators, right? Whether it's equal to or not equal to, less than, greater than, or equal to. Okay, so similarly aggregate functions, so we will go one by one. So first we will go with the where clauses, then we'll go ordered by and limit and all those things. So first we'll go back here to write a query. Okay, now I will select the name and ID and name here, right? So now you know how to write the basic query, right? You can set the limit and you can give the fields, whatever the fields you want. So next thing is where clause. Okay, excuse me, where industry equal to. Okay, I want the records of account object where the industry equal to chemicals. Okay, I want only those records. Okay, it should throw an error because we should have a proper where the limit will always at last. Okay, so you need to follow this sequence as well. Account, so if you have any conditions, then you will write where, and whatever the condition you want to give, you can give the condition. Okay, and again the limit, so click on here. Now it should not throw any error, but there is no records, that's the reason it's not showing any value. So we'll do one thing, where if it is equal to, if you add any escalator mark, then it will consider it's not equal to. Okay, click on here. Now it should retrieve the records, right? Let me add industry field as well here. So I'm adding the industry field. So click on export. You can see here there should not be any industry chemical, right? So you can see there is no record where the industry equal to chemical. Is it clear? So if you give any condition, so if the condition satisfies, then only it will retrieve those records only. Okay, if you simply see here, so I'm now checking whether in the account records where industry field equal to chemical, then I want to retrieve those records. You can clearly see there is no record where industry equal to chemical, right? So if I click on export, it should not show any data because there was no data. Okay, we'll do one thing now. So let me open here, new, let me create a new account record. I will give the industry equal to chemical, then we will try to retrieve the same record. Okay, we will run the same query. Okay, click on new record. Okay, I will do testing. Okay, so what I need to do here, industry equal to chemical, right? So I'm selecting here, click on save. So now we will go back and retrieve the, we will run the same query. It should return one record, right? So click on here, so you can see it's retrieving the record. Okay, if I use not equal to, so I will retrieve the records where industry does not equal to chemicals, right? Okay, now I want a records which are industry equal to chemical or industry equal to energy. In that scenario, what I need to do, okay, so I need to go here, I need to add or, so it means it will check if this condition satisfied, or I will write, let me write this condition first, industry, okay, equal to energy, right? So what it will do, it will check the condition where industry equal to chemical and or, if this condition satisfies, or industry equal to energy. this condition will satisfy. Whatever the condition will satisfy, it will check both. If this condition satisfies, then also it will retrieve the records. If this condition is satisfied, then also it will retrieve the records, right? Click on here. So we should get only those records where industry equal to chemical. So I retrieve these records, and as well as records which are equal to energy. You can see, clearly see, we got 3 records in energy and chemical. Okay, suppose we have one more field. Okay, so suppose if I keep, and it should not work because both are in the same field, right? So what we will do, we will select another field here. Okay, we will select another field like phone. Okay, phone field. Okay, phone field not equal to null. Null means we are checking whether the field is empty or not. Null means there will be a no value. Okay, so if I'm checking a phone not equal to null means there should be a value. Okay, so what I will do here, I will keep an and condition here. So let me go back here. Let me add phone field as well here, so we can see whether the phone field is available or not. So I'm adding phone field here. If I click on here, there is no data. Okay, so what we will do, we will, okay, let me update the value as well. Some, okay, so you can see in this record what we are checking. First understand what I'm checking. So I'm selecting, I need to write select, and what are the fields I'm want to retrieve from the database? ID, name, industry, phone from account. So what condition I'm checking here? So the industry should be chemicals and phone field should not equal to null. Okay, it means whatever the industry, it should be chemicals, and this phone field value should not be null. Okay, so that what I'm checking. So if I click on here, you can see the testing industry record is satisfying this condition. Okay, suppose if I want to check the fields where phone field equal to null, it means the phone field should be null. Okay, there is no record, right? So if I remove this phone field value, it means what I'm checking here, the industry should be chemicals, and the phone value, there should not be any phone value. The phone value should be empty. Okay, so if I click on here, you can see and return the record because I removed the phone value.